Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to the show. Got a cast coming your way today. Yeah, today's just been like a good day. I don't know. If y'all ever had a feeling where it's like, oh, this is just a good day. Like I got up early, went mountain biking, then went to church, and now I'm gonna make Oklahoma style burgers for dinner. I've got some cabbage pickling. There's just a lot of good stuff that's happening today. So felt like I was gonna make a cast while, my wife is sleeping and I was gonna waiting for the cabbage to pickle and everything. So figured I'd make a cast for y'all. Classic lineup here. Team 1 up at the top, team 2 down at the bottom. If you're not having a great day whenever you're watching this video, hopefully my weird dad jokes and missing things on the map will help you feel better. But let's go ahead and get into introducing our players. This is going down on Neuroxis map generator, as is customary. We've got Gorthor, who is going Seraphim, opening first land in the rearguard air position. Highest rated player for team number 1. So I'm assuming he's going to be locking down that air slot. We have Telly for Erip, who's going Cybrid, opening first land in the middle slot. This is kind of, back in the day, there were eco slots. This is kind of an eco slot because you're not really frontline. You're not really the dedicated air player. So I would imagine I see him going secondary air player or maybe rushing Tech 3 and going for experimentals. We'll see how that goes. To the east, we have Mav 7119, who's going Aeon, opening first land, getting to work on some power generation after that. To the south, we have Pepes, who's going UEF, opening first land as well. Lots of power generation queued up. And then last but not least, for team number 1, we have Varenicek, who is going Cybrin, opening first land, and the winner so far of the most fun name to say in this game. Varenicek. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Let's shift over to team number 2. We've got Vilone going Seraphim, opening first land and second land, so land all day. Makes sense for his position. Down to the south, we have XXAFK, XXX. I think I casted him in a game very recently. So yeah, well, he's back. Next, we've got Hank the Wank Tank, who's going Cybrin, opening first land. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue as much as Varenicek, but Hank the Wank Tank definitely wins most creative and fun name, just overall. In the middle air position, or middle second air eco position, something or other, we've got Schlongdis, who's going UEF, opening first land. Contender for most fun name to say, but Varenicek still takes it for me. And then last but not least, we have Boom, going Aeon, opening first land in the rearguard air position. Boom is the mirror of Gorthor. So 1900 rated player in the rearguard air position for both teams. And then a mixture of, we actually have an 1800 in Vilone playing up north, but most of the rest of the players are going to be between 1000 and 1500. So then we also have Varenicek at 1600. So I eat my words and recant them immediately. But everything's going to be taking shape here. Everybody's walking their commanders forward, grabbing some mexes. We have a little raiding party here from a couple of Selens that are going to be able to bag an engineer out of Telefor Rep. Always good to see. Selens being utilized for combat instead of just their cloaking ability to be a nuisance, hiding over mexes. They'll be wiped out by Telly's commander there. I wonder if Telly is going to go for teleport. We'll see how that shakes out. But the reason I picked this game is I have a science video coming out that I'm working on right now. Well, not really working on actively, but it's in the conceptual stages. I need some help to actually get the filming done for it. But I have a science video coming out that has a lot to do with something big that happens in this game. So guess is down in the comments what that's going to be. And if you like my science stuff, I did put one out on nuclear weapons. It would have been earlier this week. No, it would have been last week. So yeah, if you like my science stuff, go check out the nuclear weapons one. Gun damage and range on the way for Schlongdis, getting that UEF Zephamp upgrade. And then Varenicek is walking himself to the middle, grabbing some mexes. I'm going to stay relatively zoomed out. This is a pretty big map at 20 by 20. Or actually, it's probably 15 by 15 because usually this outer border is the 20 by 20. So whenever you do 15 by 15, the engine just kind of scales it down within a particular window. Drop coming out for Telly 4 rep for some of these forward mexes. So Telly might actually be, looks to be going for a little bit more of an active role in the initial stages of the game. Does have some supporting land factories, but is on the way to Tech 2. So doing a little bit to support his allies, not being like an entirely AFK eco player, but does seem to be prioritizing tech, as 5 minutes for Tech 2 is a little bit early. Schlongdis is just going for straight eco upgrades, it looks like. So playing more of a greedy eco role. Third mech's on the way to Tech 2. And only one land factory, so looks to be playing a little bit more of kind of that classic eco player where they just disappear for like 20 minutes and then they have experimentals. So, which is just what everybody wants to do, right? Nobody wants to actually play the early stages of the game because that's stressful. You have to deal with stuff like this where you have mantis that are running by and they're attacking your mexes and you're losing a couple of tanks, and then that pisses you off. And then you accidentally leave with your tanks before, okay, never mind, the mantis actually died. Another attempted run by Hank the Wank tank, also with Mantis. Mantis are good units to do run-bys with. Highest movement speed for any of the Tech 1 main battle units, if I remember correctly. Tech 2 on the way for Pepis. Tech 2 also on the way for Schlongdis after that Zeph amp upgrade. And then gun speed and range right in the middle of the screen from our AFK player himself, who is incidentally under pressure from Telly up here. Telly with a vanilla commander, a couple of support units in tow, looking to break down this point defense, break that glass ceiling as it were, level the playing field, get rid of the point defense. That way the commander is the only chonker out on the front line, but probably runs a little bit too far forward with his Mantis. Commander doesn't really do anything to help. Either way, though, is going to be able to bag himself an engineer, probably be able to put some pressure on this as long as he moves his commander forward. So, you know, just some basic stuff, glass ceiling and whatnot. I don't even know if that's a good joke about the glass ceiling, but yeah. I think that's kind of, glass ceiling is kind of a stupid thing, but, you know, whatever. Gun range on the way for Mav 7119. Gun speed already acquired. So getting that Aeon Battlecom fully operational. I just ignited a bomb in the comments section. I'm positive. But anyway, Telly decides to not finish off the land factory. Interesting decision. Nope, wait, now he's going back in. He's going back in, but he should be going out as AFK does have gun upgrade on his commander, does finish off that land factory at least, so does get a little bit of stuff done. Takes out some of the mexes there for AFK. On the southern side of the map, we do have a more concerted push coming in from Verinicek. And hopefully Verinicek is really active in this game because I just want to keep saying Verinicek. I'm probably even pronouncing it incorrectly, which is going to make it way better whenever the video is released. Gun speed and range on the way for Hank the Wank tank. Hopefully these guys just go at it. So I'd love to just say Hank the Wank tank and Verinicek for the rest of the game here. Telly tangling once again with Valone, trying to get a little run by. Were these mexes? Yeah, did kill a couple of mexes. Valone has them requeued back up with a couple of engineers. Telly is going to be running into some of the responding forces from both AFK and Valone, so not really going to get a ton done on that run by except for grabbing a couple of mexes on the northern side of the map. And advanced range just now finishing up for Mav and also going for shield, just going all in for that Aeon combat com. And in the back line, he does have some of the tech to support it. Does have Tech 2 land factory, relatively healthy production as well with looks to be 3 or 4. Yep, all 4 of those are supporting land factories. So as soon as that shield upgrade is done, 9 minutes into the game, he's going to have a pretty healthy Tech 2 production on the land side of things. His opponent has already got Tech 2 on the field. Ilshiva's coming out. As far as supporting manufacturing, though, This looks to be coming entirely out of his main HQ. Now, does have one supporting factory. I take that back. But Mav should be able to get something done here with the chonker of a commander that he's putting together and the supporting blazes and obsidians that he'll be able to put out. A little bit of gunship harass coming out of Team 2's air player. Boom. Coincidentally, I think it's part of the same clan as Spiky. I wonder if that is Spiky. And Spiky Noob has changed his name. Stealth coming in for Hank the Wank Tank. Gunships didn't do a whole hell of a lot, but they were there. They made their presence felt. But everybody is just, you know, chilling out a little bit. We got the full upgrades completed now for Mav up in the north. Nano Repair coming in for Hank the Wank Tank after getting a stealth upgrade on his commander. It does already have the gun upgrade, speed and range, now on the way for Telly. Everybody kind of just going after these gun upgrades as AFK ventures into Triad Fire. Pepe's going for a little bit of a point defense creep here. But once it gets out of the point defense range, Tech 1 units don't really have a viable target anymore. Hank the Wank Tank keeps trying to get run-bys past Varenicek here. Is going to bag himself a Mex. Slower start, though, to this game. Tech 3 Air out on the field for both air players. So both Gorthor and Boom do have ASF out. And Telly putting some pressure on Schlongdis, who's getting himself his own little fire base here. Telly does have gun upgrade, no stealth though. So a combination of Tech 1 units and the Triads will send him back, tail between his legs, back to where he came from. Is building a Cerberus back in the back to kind of offer his commander a little bit of cover. Don't think he's in a ton of danger here. He'll be fine. Just fine. And as the Tech 2 manufacturing of Mav has now reached full capacity, but that commander is going for blazes, which is, I don't know. I don't quite understand the appeal of blazes. Like, I know they move faster and everything, and they're good raiding units, but in this instance where you're essentially fighting like a World War I style thing where you're trying to assault a fire base and you're going to be expending lots of units just to even assault the fire base, I don't know why you would go with units that are like lower health and lower damage over obsidians. I don't know. I like obsidians. This thing's pack a punch. Nano Repair coming in for AFK as well. And Schlongdis is making himself a right nuisance in the middle with that Tech 2 upgrade as well as Zephamp, going for his own little point defense creep. So we're getting some yin and yang action as AFK has been pushed out of this little expansion here. So AFK doesn't have as much mass to work with. Missing out on one expansion, but I mean, I guess again, yin and yang. So he does have this one over here in the north that is going to help him out, level the playing field a little bit. And Harb's now out for Mav, so proper Tech 3 action. Tech 3 is out on the field now for Telly. He does have his first brick out on the field. So looks like he's going for the eco move of I'm going to get Tech 3 and then try and flood them out with Tech 3 units, which is a pretty viable strategy, especially on the Cybran. I don't know. I think that Cybran's Tech 2 might be a little bit weaker as of late. Just don't feel like it's super great. I think I would rank it third, maybe fourth. I don't know. far as overall Tech 2 viability, because they don't have a shield. Their main battle tank is good, but the lack of a shield and the lack of a unit like the Ilshaba or the Obsidian kind of leaves a good amount to be desired for Cybran Tech 2, I think. I don't know. I'm sure people will disagree with me in the comments below. I think I even ranked them differently in my factions compared list, but I've grown older and wiser. And also semi more dumb. So go figure that one out. That'll cook your noodle. One brick though, not going to be able to break that position. And the Alta Tech 3 out for Verinicek. Seeing some Tech 2 out for Hank the Wank Tank. Is going for more of the Cybran Tech 2. And in the middle, AFK and Pepes squaring off with their comms. AFK trying to assault this position with some mobile missile launchers, as well as his commander with the basic nano upgrade, as well as gun. So basic nano and gun, still pretty formidable commander to be reckoned with, especially whenever Pepes here is working with only Tech 2 on his commander and decided he was going to leave the shield for some reason. He just like walked out. Yeah, it's like you see rain happening outside. You're like, wow, it's raining. I wonder how hard it's raining. And you step like one toe outside and then you're just immediately drenched and you're like, yep, it's raining really hard. It's like you could have just like looked out and seen like, yeah, it's raining really hard. You don't need to go and like walk in the rain to know that it's raining really hard. I feel like that's what I feel like Pepes did there. He's just like walking his commander out like, hey, is it still raining out here? Fuck, yep, it's raining still. Bricks are just running in circles in front of this firebase as well. I don't know. It's just some interesting tactics here. As they're going to walk away out of range. They're still going to take a bunch of point defense fire. Maybe Telly is going to think that it's time to go back in. I don't know. Some really interesting shit. It's a bold strategy. Okay, now we're seeing Obsidians out from Mav, who is taking some damage on his commander. I'm going to miss things this cast because, you know, I'm me. And anybody who watches should be used to it right now. But I'm going to be missing some engagements, so I'll drop the replay ID in the description, or you can just grab it right here. Yeah, the replay ID is right here in the scoreboard. You can just type that into the FAF if you FAF client if you're really interested in being able to see every single thing that happens in this game. But large offensive maneuver. That's what I was thinking of. I don't know what word I was trying to think of there, but large offensive maneuver out here from Verinicek. Mixture of mostly Tech 1 and Tech 3 units coming out. They're going to come to blows with Hank the Wank Tank's Tech 2 army, primarily. Got a lot of rhinos in this mix. Be able to make short work of at least the Tech 1 units. And now we have Restorers coming out of Boom, as well as some ASF in the back to provide covering fire. So Restorers, y'all don't know, do have a pretty good AA in and of themselves. It is not just decorative anti-air. The Broadsword and Whaler Tech 3 gunships have decorative anti-air. Like if you hover over the unit, technically they do shoot at other aircraft. It is like 10 damage per second or something like that. It's not good. But either way, Hank the Wank Tank gonna lose out on that little wank interaction with Verinicek, as Verinicek wipes the floor with his Tech 3 units, but Verinicek leaves his commander relatively exposed here. I think this is all Tech 1 AA. There are no bouncers, and Verinicek's HP just begins to evaporate from these Restorers, and that is going to be our first ejection from the game. We have Gorthor coming in with his ASF, but remember, these Restorers will carry some good weight whenever it comes to anti-aircraft. So even though Gorthor has superior ASF numbers whenever compared to Boom, He's going to pay a very dear price if he actually wants to take this engagement, which it seems like he does, and he indeed pays dearly. Escaping with only 3 ASF. Verinicek, unfortunately, going to be the first player eliminated. So the favorite name is the first one eliminated, which just, you know, that sucks. It really grinds my gears. My good day is now turned terrible because I can't say Verinicek as much anymore. Probably could have gotten a lot more mileage out of it if I talked more about the southern side of the map during the first 20 minutes of this game. But hey, here we are. We live and we learn. Gun Splash coming out for Valone. That is a very expensive upgrade. I'm blanking on exactly how much it is. Let's look. But it is exceedingly expensive. You don't see it very often. Gun Splash. It's, nope, other side. Refracting Chronotron Amplifier. So it's going to drain, what is that, 270,000 energy. It's a very energy intensive upgrade, as well as 5,400 mass, which also isn't super cheap. But very expensive upgrade. I'm very interested to see what Valone is going to do with that. Because outside of the laser that the Cybern Commander can get, that is probably the most powerful gun-oriented upgrade for a singular commander, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Now we have the Restorers moving towards the north, and Mav going in on this firebase with Harbingers. Going to be a lot more useful at breaking this firebase than simply Blazes, but Valone with that Gun Splash, you can see how much damage he's able to dish out to these Restorers. You guys don't know what the Gun Splash upgrade does. It gives 450% additional damage, as well as an AoE effect on the gun, which I don't remember exactly how much that AoE is, but Mav just getting absolutely taken apart by this gun upgrade. As well as the Tech 1 bombers, and Mav might be our next ejection here, as Valone shows absolutely no signs of letting up. And man, if Mav had made that move maybe a minute or two earlier, that could have been a very different outcome for Valone. But he didn't. You live and you learn. Valone takes that kill. That's going to be second player down for Team 1. And now we're starting to see this restorative ball of death here that is developing in the middle. As Boom now with, you know, I would say air control, but he doesn't really have that many ASF. He's operating entirely off of these Restorers. And anytime the Iazines for Gorthor get anywhere close, they just come under a hail of missile fire from these Restorers. Like, you can look at this. They're going to come in and they're going to try and do something here. Lost one Restorer. Gorthor has lost most of his ASF. So you trade one Restorer for all of your ASF, essentially, at that point. That is insane. And there is a ratio. Some people say it's 3-to-1. Some people say it's 4-to-1. Some people say it's 2-to-1 of Restorers for ASF. So one Restorer will give you more mileage than one ASF as far as just overall air-to-air efficacy. And we'll get more into that. I guess I'll just spoil it now. We'll get more into that in the science video in the future. As far as like what that ratio actually is, whether it's worth it. Should you even build ASF as Aeon? I'll leave that for people to get angry at me about whatever my decision is in the science video. But like I said, haven't gotten all the way into the science video production yet. Need some help to be able to do some of the micro, because managing two different sides of air units is always a little tricky, and you know, I want to do something different other than just put them on patrol and hope for the best. But Bricks walking into point defense fire here. Some of Hank the Wank Tank's units going to get properly beaten off by a lot of the Percivals and Triads there. But that does signify that Hank the Wank Tank has made the jump to Tech 3. And lots of AA as well, seeing from team number 2. Team number 2 firmly in the driver's seat as of right now, with decent map control kind of across the board. Specifically with Mav's eviction from this game. Mav and Verinacek both were kind of the middle level pros, if you will. So 1500 and 1600 ranking respectively. And yeah, the restorative ball of death continues to grow. And Telly's Tech 3 units are now next up on the menu. And restorers don't do as much damage on to ground as like a broadsword does, but if you get enough of them, they'll do pretty significant damage. And these guys are now going to move into Telly's newly taken over base. We do have ASF once again coming in. They're going to bag a couple of them in this first pass. And the restorers once again weathering the storm quite well. There's even some Tech 3 AA under this shield that's helping out the restorers. The restorers target some strat bombers as well that just happen to be in the on the wrong side of the track at the tracks at the wrong period of the evening. Didn't even want to be part of this fight, and yet we're cornered anyway. Siege tanks as well from Valone trying to do a run by. We have bricks as well as harbs from Telly trying to respond, but they're getting badgered by these restorers in the back line. And Gorthor once again completely out of ASF. He has what I would assume is every single factory producing ASF, and he has a pretty healthy air grid here, but he just cannot keep up with the ASF numbers. It doesn't help that he just kind of sends them into range of the restorers. Restorers have obscenely long range as well. But yeah, these restorers, they just don't care, man. Tech 3 AA, ASF, don't matter. They're going to spread their restoration wherever they please. And Gorthor once again out of ASF, except for the ones that are coming to the rally point. Which is wild. And Tech 3 AA from Gorthor as well as from Telly, you know, are a little bit of a discouraging factor, but I mean, I think actually all of Telly's Tech 3 AA, except for these back here, was already destroyed. That in conjunction with Valone's pressure on the front lines, making this a difficult position to hold for Team 1, or specifically Telly at this point. GC, though, out here for Telly. So, does get experimental out on the field, living up to his eco player name. Advanced Nano Repair now coming in for AFK, so getting one of the more expensive Seraphim upgrades. The Seraphim Commander might have, well, I think like the most expensive practical upgrades. Like, yeah, you can get Telly and Laser on Cybran, but, you know, those are meme plays, I think, at this point. And the gigantic schlong that is Schlongdis has got an obese child up at the front. We also have a Czar coming out from Boom. So as if the air-to-ground game wasn't even going, you know, poorly enough for team number 1, we have a Czar to add insult to injury. Full pepperoni stuffed crust Czar going on there. And he's moving towards Pepe's Tech 3 units. ASF in support. Doesn't have a ton of ASF, but again, doesn't need them because of the ball of death up here. ASF out from Gorthor. You know, I mean, we can do a quick count here, but Gorthor has about 30 ASF in the sky. I'm going to assume that Boom has about that number in restores. He's got 40 restores, okay? So whatever ratio that you want to use for restores to ASF, it's not that good. I mean, what is going to help is there's going to be a little bit of a thinning of the herd here as the restorers do try and go in on some AA, but a lot of this AA is shielded So these guys will do some damage. Probably not a ton. But yeah, if you have enough gunships, you know, AA doesn't really bother you that much. You can just kind of go in, laser him down real quick. Pepe trying to get more AA out, though. It does have some bouncers here that are going to help. But the Tsar also going to make it pretty difficult to build any appreciable amount of AA. The obese child banging on the door of Pepe's other base is not going to help the situation either. Pepe does have his own obese child to send to the front lines. And the fat boy for Schlong seems to be out of shield and is taking Percival fire. One more Percival shot should do it. I take that back. Nope. Okay. Yep. It's down. But on the air engagement side, the Aeon are certainly spreading the unity here with both restorers as well as pizza. It's a restorative pizza. And look, you know, we've got 6 Myrmidons here, 7, and some Burstmaster flak artillery. And the Tsar is going to take some damage, but, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, do you really, does that really bother you that much? You just vacuumed up all of the AA, at least all the static AA. There's still some bouncers in this mix. But you're going to take apart all the engineers. You're going to delete all of the forward manufacturing. Hank the Wank Tank is running really fast, furiously trying to catch up and offer some contribution here as the, you know, restorative ball of death continues spreading unity wherever it goes. And break on break action with the restorer support can only go one way, and I think it's going to go towards team number 2 here. Actually, I don't know. I mean, the bricks from Pepe are holding the line. Helps that Hank did not really align his units very well. Kind of put them in a weird staggered formation. Tsar's going to come in, though, and finish the job. Gorthor's ASF now, you know, tentatively thinking about responding. He's got 62 ASF. You know, how many restorers do we have? We probably lost a couple. Okay, so we got 36 in this little ball here. So we did lose a couple to AA, but we did add a Tsar to the mix, and Boom has his own little Air Force ASF contingent. Meanwhile, on the northern side of the map, got some fried chicken walking down a Galactic Colossus here. Do have Sniper Bot as well as Otham support. Bricks are going to be the supporting cast for the Galactic Colossus. GC does have more HP than the chicken, but with the number of Othams, the GC is going to lose out on this engagement. We also have an ass washer out on the field, some proper bidet action going on from Gorthor. So Gorthor maybe just thinks that it's a lost cause to fight air versus air, and is like, let me just start doing some damage to the ground as well where I can. I mean, it kind of makes sense because ASF to ASF, I think he'll win a straight up ASF engagement versus Boom. It's going to be 108 ASF for Gorthor versus Boom's 67. Okay, so straight ASF to ASF, Gorthor should win. It's just whenever the restorers and that Tsar get involved in the mix that Gorthor needs to be worried. So right now, Asswasher, 35 kills to its name, helping to level the playing field here. The chicken is going to go down, so that's going to be some reclaim that's going to go the way of Team 1. Hank the Wank Tank, though, properly walking his way forward, though, with not very many bricks, but a lot of engineers in tow to grab a lot of this reclaim. And there is a monkey that is being attempted right now by Pepe. The bricks are going to take out a lot of the engineers, but not going to be able to take out the engineering drones that have been sent over. So as we got a huge air engagement here, I take that back. Pepe's, no, it's just going to be the ass washers. And Gorthor tries to take an engagement there, I think. maybe trying to break this fire base. I'm not 100% sure. It does get a pretty decent air engagement. I mean, if you can call, compared to at least all of his other air engagements, does get a relatively decent air engagement. So he goes, I don't get it. Why did the bomb not hit the restos like it should? And it says they changed it. Okay, so apparently an ass washer, I guess if you attacked ground or something, used to be able to hit restores. So I guess that was his game plan, but maybe that was changed, or maybe it never was a thing. I don't know. Answers in the comments. But if that was a thing, that's kind of a cool, that's an interesting approach to that fight. I'll give him points for creativity there. As Fat Boys square off across the field. Schlong's Fat Boy does have supporting shield. Pepe's Fat Boy is going to be forced to retreat here in the face of oncoming brick fire. Tsar continuing to harass any land units. We also have a megalith coming in from Hank the Wank tank. So I guess that's his wank tank, is a megalith, and I've got to say it's a pretty respectable wank tank there. But it is taking both Ravager as well as Fat Boy fire. So that megalith is going to go down eventually, is going to be beaten into the ground. Just kind of a matter of time. Some Tech 3 units are going to help coming out of Telly. But things are getting more and more constricted here for team number 1. Megalith is going to go down. So that's going to be some decent reclaim for team 1 if they can get to it. There's Gorthor up to back here. It just has an absolute monstrosity of an air grid. Does have teleporter on his commander. So I'm going to try and see when that comm moves. Odds of me being able to see when that commander moves are going to be slim to none. I do not know what an ideal target would be. We have advanced nano repair here for Valone. He also has gun, a fully maxed out gun. Like, this is not the target you want to go for. Hank is under quite a bit of shielding, but does not have any point defense. Oh, and Gorthor went for it. So he's going after Valone. Valone did not finish out that the nano upgrade, but it does not really matter, as that is a huge amount of damage coming out of that commander. That is a well, strategic launch detected. That is a very bold strategy, as Boom and Gorthor start talking about that. And we have a nuke coming in for Pepe's, but with Gorthor out of the picture as their air player, don't know how much longer this game's gonna last. Pepe's just control Cade, because I think he probably thinks the nuke is coming for him. He probably didn't build an SMD. Yeah, I'm not seeing an SMD anywhere around here. Or maybe it died. But the Fat Boy is going to go down to the nuke, along with a bunch of the defensive infrastructure. And that leaves our lonely former eco player, Telly, who is now playing the entire game. So if you wanted to be an eco player, you're now an eco player. You have 1.3k mass income. That is about as eco as you can possibly get. Yeah, you took it from your allies, but you know what? Doesn't matter how you get something, just that you got it. Those are not words to live by. I do not take responsibility for any actions that you take on my advice. But I think from here, it's going to be a relatively slow death for Telly. Does have a GC up at the top, but no answer for the Athoda or the obese twins that are marching down the front of his base. Does have some ASF up in the sky, but nowhere near enough to deal with the restorative ball of death that has now got their sights on a fresh Monkey Lord. That Monkey Lord's not going to be able to last for very long. Boom with a czar, another czar. Because, you know, if one pizza's good, you're going to get a second pizza out of it. Monkey gonna go down. Don't really need to watch that. We can just watch this megalith dying in the middle. Different Cybran experimental. Gonna go down to 2 fat boys and a chicken. Apparently the game is running at -2 right now, if the chat is to be believed. So, yeah. Soul Ripper as well out, so experimental air. You can see all of the ASF in the map converging on this position. As they come in, this should be a one-pass fight, assuming Hank actually goes in. Instead decides he wants to take the air engagement. They could have single passed that Soul Ripper. But instead, Telly is going to fight it out in the skies. He is going to lose because the restorative ball of death has made their way up north. Telly is going to bow out, and that is the end of our cast. So, yeah, reason why I picked that one is because I could say things like restorative ball of death, Varanacek, and that Hank the Wang Tank is getting properly beaten off in the middle of the map. But the other reason why I picked it is mostly because I wanted to showcase in a real match from a relatively high-level player in Boom how effective restorers can actually be before I kind of go into do my little science mathy shit, so that before I say, if I end up saying that restorers are goated, none of y'all can go in the comments and say, this is just a meme, this is so stupid, nobody actually uses this in real games. Well, bam, here you go, real game. Yeah. Mic drop. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.